Noted. Good night, everyone. Um, you cannot hear?
Is that
Is that better now? Son, are you hearing us now? Can type a message.
yes,
Okay, good. Thanks. All right, so good night. Good to have you. Much better, Miss Elliot. Randy Bailey. Good night. It's better. Good. Um, Tonight we're going to talk about the business side of small ruminants. Gardner, good night. Good night, Mr. Good night, Mr. Gardner. And I hope you'll help me tonight because I don't know if I speak very good on this topic, but I'm certainly going to try and give my opinions as I go along. So we have about 20 people here.
watching from Florida from Mr. Herbert. Good night, sir. Can you feed only hay and
grains to goats without fresh grass? The answer to that is yes, you can. But feeding just hay and pellets alone, you need like some minerals and things like that also to be there. But I don't know if that is profitable to do that because the grains are so expensive. Cute animals, good night. All right, so I am alone tonight. I'm going to speak alone tonight. And we're going to speak about the business
night
side.
Bermuda. Good night, Vivian.
Vivian Chambers, good night. Yes, I know. What you know again, son? What did son say above? Oh, country. Yes. Okay, yeah. All right. So we're about 28 people online so far. I don't know if there are any questions you want to ask me outside of the topic or anyone have anything to ask, and just give us a little time to start with my topic tonight, in business of doing small ruminants. Is this Miss Gardner or Mr. Gardner? Mr. Gardner, I think. Saw the two young bucks being shipped off early today. The older.
How old were they and their weaning weights? Imported stock?
I don't know. What imported? I don't know.
Oh no, they are not being. No, I posted on YouTube about the two buck were moving to the other pen.
Okay, we're moving them to the other farm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're moving them.
And then they got away.
Yes. Yeah, they make a lot of noise.
We moved them. We didn't shoot them. We just moved them another place. Okay, Jordan Elliott, how can I sign up with you?
Sign up with me? What that mean? You mean with this association?
Okay, from Sylvan. Good first question. I would like to ask is how much does a pair of rabbit goes for?
I think live weight, like I think they generally sell them maybe $1,000 a pound. So I think they said last time was like $8,000 a pair, something like that. Signing up with the association, Mr. Elliott. I don't directly deal with that part of it. Is the treasurer and the vice presidents that deal with that. But you can text me afterwards and I will send you their numbers so we can do that. I'm actually want to digitize the whole registration process. It's something that we must do because I want to automate it and digitize it to make it a lot easier and simpler that we can do this much better. The way it's being done now, I don't think I like it.
From Nokia Sterling. Good night, Mr. Bernard. If you have animals that have very bad body score, how do you improve them and roughly how long does it take?
Body score is bad. So body score, it would mean like they have bad posture. They have, for example, let's say bad posture. you can't improve it. You usually cull animals and suppose they have an overbite or, you know, some other problems. Usually you cull them and use better genetics. That's the best thing to do, because you can't really improve something that is bad in a goat like that. You know.
All right, Mr. Herbert, how can I start a goat farm in Jamaica? And how much? What is a how much account? How much is it?
How can I start a goat farm in Jamaica? And how much? I guess how much it costs. I don't. All right, so goat farm can be started just like you're starting anywhere else. You have to have some amount of money to buy animals.
Or how much acres he needs to?
And how much acres?
Look like he want a whole heap of goat to start.
So that's a big question, because it matters to whether you're going to free range the goat or you're going to intensive farming. Roughly speaking, like if you grow some grasses, you're talking about maybe 10 to 15 ton of grass per acre. And this is if you have irrigation and fertilizer. So you have to really calculate. It matters to the area you get, matter to if you have irrigation, it matter to your soil condition. There's a lot of factors that you know, that is going to affect how big you can do the farm productively. Because you don't really want to have a goat farm that you're using a lot of grains. You want to use grains just as a supplement, maybe 20% at most, and then try to feed a lot of forages basically.
All right, from Mr. White, do you still have alpine rams, Mr. Bernard?
Yeah, I still have I have a purebred alpine ram, and yes, we do have offsprings, but not purebred.
All right, from Jordan Elliott, rabbits sell for 2,000 per pound. Just
Yes.
to
So
update.
yes, so people sell for, you know, people have different prices in the rabbit thing, you know. How many goats I need to start a goat farm, and
Yeah, you
how much?
already
Yeah,
answered
okay.
it.
You need to.
From Miss H. Moses, I think my body score, the person means the goat is meager, not bad genetics.
Oh, not bad genetics. Well, nutrition, housing facility can cause it. Nutrition, you have to check if they have a worm burden. Do the Fermantia score, make sure they are not worm burden. You have to improve the nutrition. Some people don't realize that goat don't really just eat grass. They eat a lot of tree forages and shrubs. Sheep eat a lot, will eat the grass and look very well, but not goats. Goats require a lot of tree forages, you know, also to look good. So that's why you see most times the question above they ask about giving them grass and bag feed. The bag feed is usually the protein part of it and so forth. So I have rabbits.
Okay, Sylvian Rankin, where can I buy two rabbits in Westmoreland? He's looking for.
Oh, Westmoreland. All right. So what I would suggest, there is a rabbit group.
WhatsApp rabbit.
There's a WhatsApp rabbit group, and I can assist you to get involved in that group if you want, and we can find out who has rabbit down there that side that you can communicate with. We can certainly do that for you.
All right, Sonson, is meat operation profitable in an intensive system?
Is meat operation?
It's meat.
Yeah, I think so, because remember, there's a shortage of goat meat in Jamaica, and if you are going to butcher your own animals and sell it directly, then you will make more profit out of it. Because, for example, if a butcher buys, say, your animals at say $600 a pound or whatever, he's going to butcher it and then sell it back and make a profit. And out there in the marketplace, it might be $1,200, $1,500 a pound. So it is more profitable when you grow the goat and butcher it yourself, and you know, make sure you meet all the requirements with the health department and so forth.
All right, Garcia, good night, Mr. Bernard. Mr. Garcia, Jordan Elliott, I have rabbit in hard food. Okay, Sylvian Rankin. Okay. What do you mean by the animal have a bad pasture?
Oh, not posture. Okay, you see, for example, posture. Yeah. For example, the back leg, the back foot down at the where the hoof is. Sometimes you see some goats and it's bent till the little toes, the two little toes are touching the ground, so that you call it a bad posture. when the animals is like that. So when you breed back animals with bad posture, for example, and you have a ram with a bad posture, then when that animal get older, they will come to the point where they can't walk, and the ram won't be able to jump and serve and so forth. It's almost like you'd have a foot and your foot is bent or out of shape and you can't walk properly. So you want an animal with good conformation in every way.
All right, from Mr. Sylvan. Last week, I wanted to ask you a question about identifying animal feed in the wild. I'm not sure if you could bring some samples and show us how they look.
Well, there are so many plants out there in the wild that goats eat. And you know what you do? You just go out in the wild or go out in the bushes with the goats, and they'll show you what they like. When they go out, you'll see them go crazy over, the different plants. For example, even, all the different legumes. There's a lot of different legumes out there, and different countries have different kinds of plants that are more susceptible to different climates and so forth. Like, many, many, many different forages that goes crazy, especially wisses. Some of the wisses, like we have hogweed and, different kind of plants, and the goats will tell you what they like. Some plants are also seasonal, meaning, when I say seasonal, I mean sometimes they eat it and sometimes they don't, because sometimes the plants are poisonous and sometimes they are not. For example, fern. Last week, fern was mentioned. Like when the fern folds up, it has that fold up way. It almost just fold up.
It's young.
It's when it's young and it folds up, it's actually poisonous. But when it opens out, goats can actually eat it and it don't affect them. So it's just something that I think the goats will tell you all that they like. Good night, Gigi.
All right, from Mr. White, do you still have alpine ram?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Robert, you still have Nubians?
Yes, we do.
And if so, do you have any offspring of
Yeah,
them?
we have a few offsprings of rams and females. Yes.
What's the price on a good alpine ram?
I don't know, like maybe 60, 80, 100, that kind of way.
All right, from Mr. Herbert, Mr. Bernard, you have any idea where in Jamaica I can get goats and sheep to buy to start the farm, and how many goats I need to start in Jamaica?
All right. So I can help you with finding goats. It matters to the parishes you are in, and sheep. Like for example, recently I had a sheep farmer. I think he was in St. Elizabeth, and he told me he had about 20 to 25 sheep he want to sell. And from time to time, this happens that people come and they have a number of animals that they want to sell out. So that is something that we can certainly discuss.
All right, from TikTok. Hypothetically, would you start a goat farm with a pair of purebreds or two native does and purebred buck?
You know, let me just get a little bit into the business of goat farming, because this is an interesting question here. So when you're just starting out, right? You do not need a fancy house. You don't need to build a mansion. You don't need to buy purebred or the most expensive goats. You don't need to do this unless you plan to set up an unproductive farm. So you go and you put up. So I've seen in Jamaica they put up these massive housing facilities. That maybe I've seen looks like it can hold 1,000 goats, but they only have 100 in there, and they put up, they use a lot of they put up these mansions, I would say. You see, when you start in goat farm, you need to buy the cheapest goat. You need to buy good goats, but the cheapest, like some natives or crossbreed natives. This is where you need to start. And you just want it very simple. You want to keep it very, very simple when you start. I usually say start with maybe 5 animals, roughly. Because guess what? There's a lot to learn in goat farming. It's not simple. Especially if you don't have a lot of experience, you need to go through and learn some of the things you want to you want to learn. You want to learn how to take care of the animals, Kidding is scary. I mean, I find kidding very, 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 very scary. And you need to be able to handle all these different stages of the animal's life. After the kid's born, sometimes you have to buckle feed, sometimes the kids will get sick, the mother might get, different things will happen. You have ARF, you have all different kind of things can happen. And once you get through all of these kind of experiences, maybe for a year or so, you breed some goats and you start to develop, then you're going to start looking around and see what is it that you really like. You can think about purebred maybe 2 years down the line or all of that. So you see, you don't want to start goat farming big and go into it big without any experience. That would be a good way to say it. You don't want to do that, because I've seen farmers buy a lot of animals, go into it big. I remember this guy went into it big, buy up a lot of animals, and the next thing you know, him tell me all of them die off and he spent millions on it and just end up with just a goat house and some simple things that went wrong and he couldn't correct it. So you don't want to do that. Start simple, learn what you're doing, practice, learn to communicate with the animals, learn to see the signs of sicknesses. Yeah, be very observant, and then you can take it. And another side of it too is that finding good help is also very difficult. You want to find, for me, you need to hire, when you hire unqualified people or people who don't know anything about goats, you want to find they are not going to be able to do it. And some people come and work for you and they just want the money. So you need people with experience. It's always better to have people with experience that you can learn from them learn from you, and then you grow the thing, So it's best to hire qualified persons in the beginning, especially if you don't have the experience. Then you have to so when you start to grow, and you grow this small herd and you grow it from, you have to start to look at the feeding. How am I going to feed these animals the most important, the most effective way? A lot of people go and start to say, okay, following this expensive way, buying bag feeding and buying expensive hay and feeding the animals like this, that's not sustainable. The purebred thing you asked me about, when you look at full bred and purebred, for example, the boar, will we be able to sustain it? The prices are going to go down, and maybe sooner or later boar goat is going to sell for the same price like like the native and so forth. So I don't know if you want to go into the expensive boar goat, because generally speaking, I think when you look at the marketplace, boar goats are mainly in the as show goats. Is mainly that I see everybody using them as not genetics for meat production as such, And you saw I did the Kiko goat the other day. Boar goat, for example, requires a lot of maintenance. They are high maintenance, and some goats like the natives and Alpine and Kiko and so forth, these goats are easier to manage. Kid easy, good modern instincts. You don't have no whole heap of problems with worming and, a lot of complications of birthing problems. All these things are not a part of it so much when you get certain breeds of goats. So you have to think about that. Let me go back to a question. I just did a short part of what I think.
From Mr. White. So can the organization come up with a scheme where they can have farmers come in monthly or so with their goats, with their meat, whether their meat or live animals to sell, because sometimes farmers have difficulty selling animals at time. So can the organization like source market and something of the sort?
So I haven't really seen a problem so far with marketing goats. I was telling somebody recently about a situation. Some years ago, I had a price mark wanting 12 carcasses per month. 12 carcasses per month means that I would have to have 12, 12, 144. I'd have to have 144 rams, for example, a year to sell. And to be able, just this was just one small little market in Jamaica. And if I was to try and supply that market, I might would need maybe 600 mothers to breed, to be able to fulfill the market. Because, you're going to get rams, you're going to get females, you want to sell, different things going to happen. You're going to have a lot of goat to do it. And, there are so many companies who ask from time to time about animals and supplying, like mothers. A lot of these places that want goat meat, but nobody can consistently supply the market. Every now and again, somebody will come with a ram and want to sell it and so forth. I think people need to form cluster groups, like in your communities. And if you say you have a cluster of 10 farmers and they're all producing goats, when the time comes, they can all, slaughter together and unite and do things like that and make it more profitable and make the market more easy. Generally speaking, there is no issue with selling goat meat in Jamaica, to what I see.
All right. Suleiman from Gambia, please. From Gambia. All right. And Mr. Herbert. Mr. Bernard, my land is in St. Thomas, but I am in Leedsburg, Florida.
Okay.
All right, new business. Good evening. If it looks like the mother has too much milk after 2 or 3 days after kidding, should I milk her to ease off?
Yes.
Although this is best milk with the colostrum,
So
which I am taking out.
I'm going to tell you this. That colostrum milk, I was having a recent conversation with a farmer. You should milk that colostrum milk off when you have it in excess like that. I usually put it in some little plastic bags. In what, like 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 4 ounce, something like
2
that.
ounce, because when they're just born, when they're little, they don't really drink a lot. So it's just like when human baby.
So you store that, you freeze this colostrum milk, because you are going to have situations where a mother might have kids and she don't have any milk, or maybe the mother died, or different things can happen. You should always save this colostrum milk. Is very important. And if the kids are not managing the milk, you should milk down those breasts and make it get a little smaller so that these young kids can manage the
make it softer.
Yeah, they'll be able to manage it. So you have to be very careful of mastitis. Even at that point, mastitis can happen. And sometimes they suck on one side and don't suck on the other side. You have to keep milking it off. You must pay attention to it, because the mother can get mastitis in the breast very quickly, especially for the milking breeds.
From Trivon, does native goats have a goat meat to bone ratio? I want to do goats for meat production.
Yeah, well, they would have a bone to meat ratio, but as to say from one to the other, it might varies. So I can't answer the question as to what the bone to meat. We can certainly do the research on that, but I don't know.
All right, Orlando Sanderson. Ms. Bernard, you have been helping me a lot. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Powell. Are Nubians high maintenance like boars, give problem kidding, etc.?
No, Nubians. All right, so this is it now. Nubians don't. All right, so generally speaking, right? Nubians, Alpines, natives, these type of goats, you don't usually have, a lot of kidding problems and, those kind of stress. Now, yes, here is where the Nubian goats become a little stressful. It's the milk. It's the milk, that milk. They produce so much milk, and sometimes those others are very big, and when the kids born, they can't manage the udder. So that's the main issue, I think, with the Nubian. After a day or 2 or 3 days, when those kids can manage those udder, everything is fine. I think that is the big. So I like when the Nubians have 2 or 3 kids. I don't like when they have 1, because when they have 1, so you have to keep milking up, because they tend to suck only one of the other. But Nubians are very tough. Another thing with Nubians, they can eat forages alone and do very well. You can feed them on bush and all those things. The Alpines, the natives, you can just feed those on bush and so forth, and they will do just as well. I did a comparison where feed some Nubians on grains and grass, and feed Nubians on bush, all the different kind of bushes, and they look just the same, grow at the same rate and everything. So they are very good animals.
And good mother too.
Good mothers generally, very nice personality and so forth. Easy to manage.
From Mr. Morrison, they suggest I debush my goat pasture. I have a lot of shrubs on the land, but there's still grass.
Well, I can't answer if you should debush it, but the goats should be debushing it for you. The goats and so forth, usually, well, and sheep too. But they should be debushing it. It look like you have too much feeding. And remember, I said to you, it's not really the grass so much with goats. Goats love shrubs and legumes and tree forages and so forth.
All right, from Mr. Stuart Marvin.
Oh, I must say something also. You see, sometimes when the grass get very old, the goats don't eat it too.
When they're
when it gets very, very old, sometimes you have to cut it back and make it regrow back fresh. So yes.
All right, from Mr. Marvin, what is the profit margin based on the average live weight of a goat from birth to slaughter? Additionally, what are the costs of raising one, and what profit do you end up making?
Wow, that's a deep question. I mainly do genetics and so forth, right? But so I don't have that data to give you, right at this point. But you see that profit margin you're talking about, everything has to do how you grow that goat. If you are growing the goat on forages alone out there in the field, and you're cutting bush and so forth, then your profit margin is going to be different from a farmer who is feeding, say, 50% grains, So that can go all over the place in terms of the pricing. So you have to, input cost. Some farmers have the grass right there. Some farmers are buying. Some farmers have to drive a vehicle and go down the road to cut. All of those things have input costs, and it would vary. But I know that it is profitable.
From Mr. Dwight Love, what can treat mastitis?
All right. So for mastitis, usually, so they have a mastitis treatment, right?
Like a cream.
They come out. It is in a tube. It's like a cream, and you put it in the nipple right at the hole, and you just squeeze it in there, and it takes care of it. But usually, I always bathe off the breast with some warm water, milk off that, because you see that, that pussy looking milk that comes out, sometimes it have a bad smell. It's bacteria that enters into the nipple. That's why sometimes if you're milking, you usually put iodine at the tip of the nipple to stop bacteria and so forth from going inside the breast. And so once that kid is sucking all the time, usually that don't happen. So you put that mastitis treat. They have one they call first day and second day and so forth. You have some that is just a one treatment. Some is 1 or 2 days of treatment. So they do have a special antibiotic stuff that you can use.
Straight direct to the breast.
Yes.
You just
insert it
in the nipple.
In the nipple, you insert in the nipple and squeeze the stuff, and you just massage it in the breast and massage it. Seal the nipple with your finger and just massage the thing inside the breast.
All right, Mr. New Business. Do you think Nigerian dwarf goats are good for milk, and would you ever think of importing any?
Yeah, this is a little goat that I've always been impressed with. I think they are one of the goats that produce, for their little size, they produce very rich milk, very high. I think it's one of the highest in butterfat. People who do cheese and yogurt and these kind of things sought after using these goats to produce these kind of milk. I have seen they use these Nigerian dwarfs for health stuff like, massage and, different things like that. They lie down and make the goats walk on the people them and massage them. They have a lot of different things they do with these small goats. And so they have some kind of massage therapy that they use them with, and many different. They are very nice, gentle, and, and so forth. I think, well, I love all goats, so I would not tell you I would not import Nigerian dwarfs because I love those goats.
It's only when.
Yes.
From Mr. Rankin. I know you love goats. Do you ever think about going into yogurt and cheese?
Oh boy,
Even ice cream, you want ice cream.
My
too.
thing is ice cream. I would love to start doing ice cream, but I'm so busy. I don't really have the time. I kind of encourage my wife and tell her we need to do it, but we haven't. I mean, we do it, and like little experiments, and we do some things here and there and so forth. From time to time. Do ice. I mean, we have done little yogurt and little cheese, but not professional. And
There's no formula.
no formula, no nothing, not an expert. But it's something that, listen, this is where the profit, I think, the
value added.
the value added, yes. The value added in goats is right there.
Mr. Sylvan
Mhm.
could start an ice cream.
Yes, that is where the value added. And with goat milk, you're not lactose intolerant. Goat milk is more better for our stomachs, closer to human milk. All these advantages. And some people, some older people can't, that have digestive issues, or can't eat a lot of food and can't do a lot of things. They drink goat milk. Like my father, he drinks like, I mean, 1 or 2 quarts of goat milk every day. So, and I think he's like must about 87 or something like that. But goat milk is very healthy, and some older people drink it because it really helps them a lot.
My father drink it for boom.
Yes. Have you had any experience where the vaccine prevents mortality of the? Yes, yes. So, um, what happens is that I'm trying to remember the name now. I'm going to be having vets online. I hope maybe next week we'll have a vet online to talk about vaccines and all the health issues. I'm going to have 2 sessions of vets, 2 different vets online. I don't get a date yet as to when we're going to start, but definitely a vet will be there for all these kind of questions. But vaccination, tetanus. This is the one that is very critical in Jamaica with the tetanus. So you will just, when you don't vaccine, you'll just get up and you'll see a kid get stiff and, in a short period of time. And, tetanus causes the muscles to constrict, and it squeezes up the organs, the lungs, everything inside of it squeeze, and they suffocate to death and die. I have never seen a goat kid survive from tetanus, even though people say they have seen that happen. But vaccine definitely prevent tetanus. And there are other things, I guess, in other countries that vaccine can help.
Right. Do you have any female goat selling from Nick?
Nick?
Female. Yeah. Female goat.
Sometimes I do. Yes.
Female is very what do you call?
I tend to be getting more rams than female. When I breed the boars, last time I get something like 15, 12 males and 2 or 3
and just
females.
one female.
Yeah.
From new business. If goat delivers 3 kids, at what point do I intervene to bottle feed? As I am told that if not straight away, then kids won't accept bottle.
Yeah, so that is true. Usually the kids don't accept the bottle. So this is what I do. Whenever I see 3 or 4 kids born,
bottle all of them.
I try to bottle all of them. Just put a bottle there. Even if I milk the bottle and just try to get them used to the bottle immediately. I think maybe 90% of the time, only 1 out of the 3 will accept the bottle. For 4s, usually 2 out of the 4 will accept the bottle. This is generally what's happened. Sometimes 2 out of the 3, but most of the time is 1. And with 4, we notice 2 out of the 4 accepts the bottle. You have to do it as the kid's born. And usually I try to milk a goat somewhere else and supply that milk. Sometimes I have to use milk powder. But another thing I do sometimes, if a goat has 1 kid and I have a goat that have 3, sometimes I'll teach those kids to steal milk. So I'll put them on hold the mother and make them suck the milk off the other mother. We do that sometimes, and sometimes they learn, and the kids know that they go all over the place and take milk from everywhere. So different kind of things work as you go along. You have to try, different things. Sometimes different things work.
From Kim is Farms. How old should you vaccinate your kids?
It says it on the on the bottle, right? But usually about a month before the mother have those kids, you usually vaccinate the mother at that point, and it usually covers the kid. I think it's between 6 weeks to a month before she have kids, you vaccinate the mother and it covers the kid. And I think they usually say about 3 months you can vaccinate. Otherwise, if you didn't practice vaccinating the mother, I think it's 4 to 6 weeks. But different vaccines have different instructions. So
Suppose you don't know when to have the goat have babies.
you have to know. You have to have record keeping all the time. If you're not, or else you won't know what to do. You have to make sure you are doing record keeping all the time so that you know when the kids were born and what you're doing.
From Deco, which breed do you have there?
Which breed?
Yeah, like.
You mean goats?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have the imported boars. I have the Sani. Sani is a very nice goat. I like them because they seem to be very tough. I have Nubian. I have some crossbreed Alpines, and some mix up goat with different things. So generally, that's what I have.
Good night.
I'm interested in Kiko. That's what I think I might be doing next. And if I import again, I'll import Kiko, I think.
From Mr. Leon. Good night. All right. What's Mr. Herbert? What is the best goats to farm in Jamaica you suggest is local goat? Is local good?
Yeah, I think the locals are good. I think it's going to be fantastic to put especially if you're doing meat production, to put a local with maybe the Kiko or things like that, because they are so tough. And you want a goat with low maintenance. That's the key. That's if you're going into meat production. If you are doing pets, if you're doing the goats for pets or for the show goat market, that's a different thing.
All right. From Mr. Harvey, I have 5 goals, call ram and the boar back. Don't even look at them. What's the cost of that?
All right. So you see boar goats, very strange animals. A boar goat sometimes will not look at those females during the day, but at night, this is when they usually operate. I have had boar rams that I've never seen them go near the females, but 5 months down the road, I see all the females having kids. I think because they get so hot during the day or sometime, but at night, especially like
5 o'clock.
Maybe 2 o'clock, 5, in the early morning, they become active. So, that's what I can say to you. And if your ram is in good condition, then I can't tell you not to worry, because sometimes you have a buck that is not good. That's possible.
All right, from Mr. Orlando Sanderson, what's the best booster shot for goat?
Booster shot.
You mean to improve their eating?
I don't know, Tim. I don't know what you mean booster shot. If they are sick or something, but they have vitamin tab, like I think Hyper there, they sell a multivitamin and so forth. But I don't really practice. I only boost or do anything like that for sick animals. If the animals are not sick, I don't usually do those kind of things. I just try and make sure that I feed them well and make sure they get good housing and so forth.
From Zico Brown, have you ever heard about mean Nubians? It's a cross between a male Nigerian dwarf and female Nubian.
Nope. Nope, but I'm sure it's going to be a smaller animal. No, I have not seen it or heard of it, no.
From Mr. White, diarrhea is the next frequent one that causes mortality in kids.
Yes.
From my experience.
Yes, and the diarrhea is usually a hygiene problem most of the time. Anytime you have poor hygiene in the pen or in your facility, this is when you usually see this diarrhea problems. Messy pen and all that. It's and the goats sleeping in their feces. This is our problem. Is milk profitable in Jamaica? Yes, milk is profitable in Jamaica. I mean, I see the milk selling like anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a liter for the goat milk, and it is scarce. I mean, you can't find enough of it. There's a high demand for goat milk in Jamaica, for certain.
From Mr. Herbert, what is the cost for goat meat in Jamaica now?
So live weight, I would say anywhere from $600 to $750 a pound for live weight, and for the meat, we are seeing like $1,200 to $1,500 a pound for the meat, Jamaican.
From Nubisis, I see people here selling Nubians. Are majority Anglo or American, as I can't seem tell.
Yeah, so the Anglia was predominant in Jamaica, but I think in recent years the American Nubian ram has been coming here. No Angler, I think, came here in recent times, and that so it's, I think most of what we're seeing is a cross with the Anglo Nubian and the American Nubian. That's what is going to be here a lot now.
From Mr. Baucho. Good night, Uncle. Do you know of the different types of diseases, especially in Jamaica?
Yeah, so I want to leave that for the bit. That's one of the questions I want you to ask, and we remember all of them now. But you know, we don't have a whole heap of diseases like other countries. But I'm going to make the vet. I think next week we should have the vet on board, and we're going to talk about those. We have, you know, the ARF and the, you know, quite a number of them that I don't remember all of them right now.
All right, vaccine for Nubian.
Yeah, you can vaccine the Nubians, yes. Any goat can be vaccinated. All right, so that's the last question on that. So one of the next thing that I wanted to suggest, right, when you're doing a goat farm, is that it's a long-term investment. It's not a short-term investment. You're going to set up these animals, and you're not going to expect to be making a profit, you know, 5 months down the road or 1 year down the road. It's a long-term investment. And once you do everything the right way and, you know, learn all your craft and grow the business little by little, then usually it becomes very profitable as you go along. You must not work on assumptions, you know, assume that it's okay to, you know, try untested stuff. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I see a lot of farmers sometimes, you know, do things like that, put in big budgets and buy big expensive stuff, and, you know, trying to just overdoing everything. I mean, when I usually start with goats on the ground. Maybe if I have 5 or 10 animals, sometimes you start with some pallets on the ground, and then little by little you grow it. And when you reach maybe 20 or 30, you start to make sure you have a good shed, and you start to divide up your pen, and, you know, little by little you grow it and you grow it and you grow the numbers, so that you don't have a lot of expensive investment in infrastructure. When you put in large infrastructure in your goat pen, and put in big pen and big infrastructure in the beginning, it is, you know, you're putting in $2, $3, $4 million, and you're not even producing anything as yet, you know. So a lot of people, I see a lot of people invest in huge infrastructure and don't invest in production. You know, this is not a good idea. All right.
Mr. Khalil Rabli. Good night. What do you give your goats with heavy cold running from their nose?
All right. So there are different things. They have a little butt thing that can get inside the nose. It mainly affects sheep. So usually ivermectin. So it's an external parasite that causes them to runny nose. The bag feeding can cause it, like the dust. You know, a lot of dust in the feeding. Even hay, you feed hay grass and it comes from a very dusty field. The hay dust can cause them to start sneezing and cause, you know, lung problems, lung infection and things like that. So that's another thing. So external parasites that, and then now when it comes to lung infection, they have antibiotics that are geared or specific for lung infection, like pneumonia and things like that. I don't remember the name of the antibiotics, but our vet can talk about some of that when we come next week. But you have to treat specific for whatever the issue is, you know. So you have to investigate the animals and treat accordingly.
Dr. Vet.
Yes, and talk to your vet.
All right, Robert. I heard that the milk market is very demanding, but how do one actually get the milk, promote it, and where to look?
Actually get it.
How to market it and where to look.
All right. So you have milk processors in Jamaica, right? There are
Search.
probably two milk processors, two or three milk processors in Jamaica. And one of them in particular, they probably have a truck that they send around and collect milk maybe once or twice a week from milk producers. You have to handle the milk very hygienic, and you have to, meet certain requirements. And they come and collect the milk for you. And I guess some arrangement is made to pay you and all of that. But the milk have to meet certain qualifications. So that's one way. But otherwise, remember that this milk thing is a niche market. I mean, there are people who milk and sell it in their communities. There are people who do different things. It's a niche market.
Yeah, some self at the vet offices.
Yeah, like for example, the pet market.
Pet shop, yeah.
They buy the goat milk to feed the goats. The horse, for example, the horse people buy milk. You have to market yourself.
And cats and dogs.
And yeah, pet market and all of that, buy a lot of goat milk and so forth. So it's there. Green
and white. What does that mean?
Robert. All right.
No, from Sanderson.
All right. So I don't know, Sanderson, I don't know what green and white means, but the business part that we're supposed to be talking about tonight, right? So I said basically how we should start and what we should do. And in that starting process with the animals, you have to also make up your mind if you want to do some milk or you just want to do meat production, because that is going to dictate what type of animals you're going to have, what type of animals you're going to rear, because you could decide on milk and you might go Nubian or Sani or some kind of milking breed, or maybe you want meat, so you're going to have some kind of meat animals or so forth. You have to decide on those kind of things. Those are things that you have to decide, because milking requires and takes a lot of work. It is very, 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 very.
You have to be consistent with milk, or you will lose their capability to produce that milk.
Yeah, if you stop milking for a day or two, then the milk production from the animal will go down. All right, green mucus.
Green and white bottle is good for cold.
Green and white bottle. It's good for cold. I don't know what green and white bottle means. All right, so yeah, so you have to pay attention to do those kind of things. So we have to look at your meat production, and if you want to who you're going to sell the meat to. And some people are not marketers. That is why I believe in the cluster group, because different people within the clusters will have different strengths. You shouldn't really try and do everything yourself if you are a smaller farmer or medium size. You want to share with others and form your clusters and for your production. All right, so you start to rear these goats, you start to produce, and now you're at that stage. You have to understand the kidding. You have to understand the source of your feed, the grasses and the forages. Try to stick more to using economical feed sources to feed the animals. And you start to grow those animals, then you have to market them. And when you market them, you have to remember, some people go for genetics. They rear the goats for genetics. Some people rear it for the meat. Some people have arrangements with butchers that the butchers come and buy out all that they have. Some people advertise and on the Facebook and have different means to do all that kind of thing. And remember, well, there's the pet market too, that people, that whole pet market is there with selling animals. There's a lot of different markets is there. You also have the manure, which is something else that you can look at, that you can produce organic fertilizer from the manure. Yeah, I've seen people who take the manure and process it with the California worms and so forth, and then they use the manure, they package it and sell it to the farm stores, or to the the flower stores and different places like that. People have come to me even about the skin, ask me about goat skin and sheep skin, sheep wool and so forth. Because people use the goat skin, they don't have enough of it. You have some leathercraft people who make slippers and different kind of stuff, drum and different kind of things with the skin, manure, and as you know, with the dairy side of it, you can produce milk and cheese and yogurt and all kind of different things can produce from it. So, and the meat is there, you can have arrangements. I've seen farmers have arrangements with the restaurants. Some of them have arrangements with the promoters. You have to just look in your community or, your parish and see what opportunities are there for you. And, you can start with that. So one of the big problems though in goat production now is labor and getting good labor. That's something that you have to pay attention to. Who is going to look after the animals, or do you need help in looking after the animals? What happens if you are not available, if it is you alone looking after the animals, if you are not around for a day or two? What is your contingency to continue making sure those animals are looked after well? Those are some of the things that you have to definitely pay attention. Like for me, I look after my animals on weekends. Saturday and Sundays, I usually do everything with the animals. But during the week, I have somebody who look after them for me, So we have to also pay attention to predator larceny and the thieves. You have to have a good, secure environment, and make sure you have surveillance and you have your dogs or whatever you think will be great to make sure you secure those animals from the dogs and the wild dogs and the the 2-foot thieves. You have to pay attention to those. And um if you are grazing animals, you should not just let out your animals to go and graze and you don't have dogs with them, or you are not there with them. Because I always tell people, you have a goat that values 60,000 or 100,000 each, and you take 10 or 20 of them, let them out and just make them roam all over the place. That is like
600,
not
half
6
million.
millions. You're sending out $2-3 million and just throwing it all over the place everywhere, and then you expect to come back and see it. You can't. Goats are so expensive. I remember when I was younger, a goat was like $3,000 and $5,000. You don't see that anymore. Goats are very expensive and they have high value. And the thieves are always looking out to see if they can get them.
Nutrition.
And the nutrition, you have to make sure your nutrition is good. I don't know if anyone can help me if I'm leaving out anything, but these are some of the business side that you have to look. So you have to look at all your costs, your feed costs, your water, paying workers, doing everything, and then when you sell, you can look at your profit and see what is happening with your animals. All right, so
from Mr. Garcia, birthright. Sir B, I have a female goat that keep and call ram but not holding. What any idea what could
so from time to time we have females like that. I think I have one in my pen right now. I probably have her maybe going 2 years now, and she keep calling ram. She take ram and nothing happens. So I have seen it from time to time always. I remember once I had a Nubian that was like that. As a matter of fact, it was 2 Nubian that I had in the pen that was like that. And when the vet checked her passage was not right. So sometimes it's like their reproductive organ didn't mature properly, or something was wrong with the reproductive organ or something. And sometimes different things happen like that. Usually, if nothing is happening, you should just call that animal. That's what I would recommend.
From Mr. Scott. Good night, Mr. Bernard. How is the market for rabbit meat, and how would you advise someone interested in starting rabbit production to market?
So this is
From
from
St. Bess.
St. Bess. So St. Elizabeth. All right. So from time to time, there is shortage in the rabbit industry, and sometimes there is overproduction. I think when you go into rabbit production, you have to find your own market. It's a niche market. So some people who are doing it, they might have a jerk center or something like that that they supply the rabbit meat to, and they just produce enough just to supply maybe one or two restaurants or a jerk center. There are some persons who are supplying to hotels. There are, I think I know of about one or two people who collect the rabbit meat from you, and they have their own market. So different things are happening there. And as I say, it's a niche market. It's not a huge market, but it always have big potential. If you can rear your rabbits economically, you know, don't be just rearing them on pellets or grains alone. Have make a big part of their diet the forages, so that your production is not very expensive. I think it's very, I think it, I have many rabbit farmers who continue to do it for meat production, find it very, very profitable. Sorry. So I can hook you up with, you know, with the people within the industry. I think they have a stakeholders meeting that's probably coming up soon, and you know I should be there. And you know, so I think it's a good market. All right.
From Carpra Shaven from TikTok. Mr. Bernard, do you have any new genetics selling currently?
I always do. It seems, yeah.
Okay, what is the cost of abscess on goat?
So the abscess is what's that thing? Is ARF? Is it? Is not ARF.
Abscess is like when the
No,
lump.
no. The abscess. So there is a bacteria that causes the abscess. I don't remember. So you see the lump just come out, and when it gets ripe, usually you see it look like pussy. Usually you cut it with a knife or cut it with a razor blade, and you drain it and wash it out with iodine and disinfect it. We can discuss that with the vet when the vet is here, but I don't remember the name. It's not ARF. I don't remember the name right now, but yeah, this is something that goats have sometime, and sheep, and you have to treat it. You have to, and it's contagious. You can't make the other, you must make it stay there and burst by itself, because it can transfer from one goat to the other. And the pus and thing that come out there, you need to isolate it. Don't bury it. You should, you know, dispose of it properly,
Catch it somewhere.
because it can get away in the soil. It can, you know,
And
those bacteria can spread. It can, you know,
and
it's
to human too.
yeah. So
What's the best vaccine for pneumonia?
oh, don't know the vaccine for pneumonia. We can ask the vet that question. But pneumonia, I don't think there's a vaccine, but we can ask the vet that question. I don't know.
Mhm. And the size infrastructure you'd want to create for them if okay, they are having a conversation.
This person, Mr. Lewis, Gary Lewis, said the rabbit meat market is
Tough thing to get in.
tough thing to get in. Yes, it can be. It can be. But some, I mean, some of the rabbit farmers don't think like that, you know. You have to be innovative and create your own market sometimes, you know. So
Okay. The afterbirth can cause the animal to die.
afterbirth can cause the animal to die if it's not passed out. Yes.
If it stays inside,
If it stays inside,
it
yeah,
will poison them.
yeah, it will rot. It will rot and get stink inside of them, literally.
When will the vet be here?
So the afterbirth, sometimes when the animals have kid, and you suspect they have a thing, I think it's Axis-Shore. Axis-Shore is the name of it. You usually give them, I think it's like 1 or 2 cc, if I remember what is on the bottle, and it usually helps them to pass that that afterbirth. I've seen in very severe situations where the vet have to go in there and take out the afterbirth in very severe situations.
When will be the vet be here?
So I've asked two vets to come and talk, and I'm hoping to have one of them next week. They didn't confirm with me as yet, but I hope we'll have a vet next week, and we're going to have a vets for 2 sessions, 2 different vets, as I said before.
What do you do when your kids are not eating enough, even after giving them all the multivitamin from Davia? From Davia, yes.
When the kids are not eating enough, I don't know. Well, I've never really seen the kids not eating enough, unless the kids are something is wrong, like they are sick or something is wrong, or maybe I don't know what you're feeding them on. But usually kids eat a lot and do very well. So you have to check if they are sick or if something is wrong with them, diarrhea. I don't know. Something must be wrong. But usually the kids eat very well. I mean, once they're getting the milk from the mother. If the mother is not producing enough milk in the early stage, you have to make sure you give the mother good food, good nutrition, that she will produce a lot of milk. Sometimes even vitamin, free choice minerals. When you give the animals free choice mineral, it actually increases milk production. So you have to make sure those kids get a lot of milk in the early stage. And then, maybe like at 2-3 weeks, you start creep feeding them. Make sure you have it's good when you have the bag feeding or so forth, and creep feed them, so that it causes them to grow a lot faster.
From Mr. New Business. Does bamboo help with passing after birth, or is this myth? Is this a myth?
Never heard of that. I don't know.
How you give them bamboo?
I don't know how you give them the bamboo.
By eating?
I don't know.
Okay.
All right. So I have answered a lot of the questions, and we have some little discussion here.
All right. What's the name of the vitamins you give the kids? From Java. From Javar.
I don't. Well, they have some vitamins. I see they have abroad, like probiotics, and them have this dine and different things. But I don't use those products. I only use stuff for sick animals. Oh, so I don't know. So it's the bamboo leaves. Okay. No, I don't really know. It's very rare to see the afterbirth left back there, but I always use Oxyshore. To be sure, we call it Oxyshore also cause the milk to come down when you give them that Oxyshore. So I don't know about the bamboo leaves, Sir Harvey. First I'm hearing that. But sometimes we can learn new things, So
from Mr. Hills. Oh, Hills from Hills Farmer. Good night. Question: what's the best nutrients or booster that can help goats to grow?
Well,
Nutriments.
the nutrition, usually the creep feeding, the creep feeding, you think for those first couple of weeks for that kid, if you creep feed, and when you do that creep feed or feed, it really helps the goats to come off the mother quickly. They don't require a lot of milk from the mother, because sometimes they stress down the mother, and as they get bigger, when a goat reach 1 month, they drink a lot of milk. So if you can creep feed those kids from a young age, you're starting to creep feed them, and usually they'll wean off themselves much quicker. That is very important, and I think that is one of the things you can do and get high growth rate and have minerals and so forth around them too.
So what is this salmon used for? From Manrandas.
All right, so you see those oil, this salmon oil are those oils are very compact energy. So they are very compact, one of the most compact energy that there is. So, and as you know, energy will cause the animals to eat more if they have energy. But you see, there's a balance. You can't give them too much. You have to, because it can cause other side effects and other problems. So a little of the oils, some of the oil or whatever oil you give them, yes, it can increase their appetite.
From Seal. Farmers usually give bamboo plants to cows to help pass after birth. Oh.
Okay, I don't know that. I didn't know that. Okay, so the oils. So even coconut oil or any one of these oils are very high in protein. Sorry, in energy. Sorry, very high in protein, and they use it to to increase appetite. But generally speaking, if you are creep feeding and you're doing and if you want that growth rate, remember that's what the grains do. The grains increase that growth rate because it is packed with so much nutrients and it causes high growth rate, but it's also expensive to deal with it. But those young kids, I definitely recommend creep feeding the kids. So
from Davia, how soon is Shafkat will be here?
yes, they are here. You can come and get them anytime.
Look like bamboo is good for everything. Bamboo is best for running belly.
Well, I think the bamboo leaf that white bear eats bamboo. What's it?
Panda.
The panda. Yeah, the panda main diet is the bamboo leaf, so it must be a very nutritious a nutritious thing to feed the goats on if so be it, So just that I don't usually see a lot of bamboo around, enough of it to be able to feed the animals with bamboo leaves, but I'm sure it's very good.
From Hills Farmer, how often you think goats should get oils like fish oil per month or per week?
I don't use the fish oil. Everything that you do it in moderation, and you have to watch the animals and do it if you see that you're getting results from it. As I tell you before, I creep feed. That's the main thing that I do. I use creep feeders and creep feed with our feeds because I think the feeds we have in Jamaica are pretty okay,
Jafar said, I use it when nothing else would work.
Okay, and it will work because of the high energy. It's very, very high in energy. Just like even molasses is high in energy.
He said bamboo
Glucose.
is for bamboo is talking.
Mm-hmm.
He use it for running belly if nothing works.
Yeah, and you know what is happening there? I think the bamboo leaves are high in fiber, and usually running belly. That's one of the things. If the animals don't have enough fiber in that diet, if you don't have enough fiber, it can cause runny belly also. So when you introduce the fiber, it will do that. For example, even with rabbits, when you have rabbits and they have runny belly, two things that I use for rabbits: oats, high in fiber. I usually give them whole, the whole oats, whole grain oats, high in fiber, and it's usually will stop diarrheas in rabbits. And also pineapple. You give them pineapple because the pineapple have so much fiber, and the sweetie part have energy. I imagine. Anytime I have a weak rabbit or with soft stool or diarrhea, those are two things that I've used that works. So I think we have answered everybody's question tonight. We're going to have a short, we're going for 1 hour now. And I'm going to sign off early tonight. Thanking everyone for joining me tonight. I hope we have the vet next week. And it was great, talking with you and being able to share everything with you tonight.
From new business. You say you use Oxysure. I was told oxytocin can also dry up the milk. True or false?
No. Oxysure. I don't remember I think the Oxysure is when you give that injection. I think it's about 1 ml. And what happens? It causes the release of the placenta inside there, the afterbirth, as we would want to say, and it also causes the milk to come down. So
where's the oxytocin?
I don't remember. Oxytocin. We can research it. Oxysure, I think it has oxytocin in it. I'm not so sure. We can ask the vet next week. But that's the product that I use after they have the kids, or usually sometimes if I see where I think there's going to be complication, I always give Oxysure to bring down the afterbirth. We are not getting any of the new kid-free creep feeder. Well, you have to go talk to the to the people that manufacture it, Mr. Michael. I'll ask though. I'll certainly ask. I myself have not seen it, so I don't know either. I actually was going to buy a bag to try it out, but when I went there, they didn't have it either. So I don't know what's happening there. Either it's selling they're not making enough, or they're selling too much out there in the marketplace. Anyway, everyone, thanks for being with me tonight, and I am going to see you next week. As usual, God bless and good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, new business. Thank you, Nick. All right. Yeah, Hills Farmers. Thanks for taking your time for answering our question. All right. Good
All
night,
right.
Bailey. Good night, Garfield. Good night, night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Garcia. Good night, Bart. Right.
Good night to everyone.
Jafari. Good night.
Good to have you all. Mr. Stewart, thank you. All right. All right. So next week, very interesting. Looking forward to talking with all of you next week. Vet. I hope we get the vet next week. All right.